Welcome to Sacrilegious Discourse.
I'm husband.
And I'm wife.
Together, we're reading the Bible for the very first time.
We grew up without religion and wanted to know what all the fuss was about.
Well, what have we learned so far?
That God is a dick, and apparently some people believe in talking donkeys.
We're not trying to pass ourselves off as experts.
Nope, we're just reading the Bible for the first time and giving our first take reaction.
If you'd like to join us in this venture, you might consider starting at episode 1.
Otherwise, jump in wherever you like.
All right, let's go read the Bible.
Yeah, let's get to it.
Hey wife, did you know that Anchor is sponsoring our show?
Really? Don't we use Anchor to distribute our podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts?
Yeah, and we are on just about every other platform available as well, thanks to them.
Why do we use Anchor as our podcasting service?
Well, they make editing and distributing our show a breeze.
What if one of our listeners wants to start their own podcast?
Then they should head over to anchor.fm or download the app to get started.
Awesome! You guys should go do that right now! Husband!
Wife!
Do you remember what happened yesterday?
I don't. It was way too fucking late, and I had some drinks that night, I think.
Did.
So I don't really remember what we talked about.
It was so unusual.
I went straight to bed after that, because I could have fallen asleep in the middle of the goddamn podcast.
You fell asleep on the couch, actually.
Before the podcast.
Before the podcast, and had a whole conversation with me that you don't remember having.
Yeah, no, I know.
Wherein I said, we still have to do an episode, and you were like, no, we're doing it tomorrow. And I was like, but it's going to come out late. And you were like, that's okay. Sometimes that's how it be.
Right,
and
yeah.
And then, like, a half hour, I let you snore. And then, like, a half hour later, you jumped up and go, oh, shit, we still have to do our podcast.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait. I was like, we literally just had a conversation about this. And you were like, I don't remember that.
Sometimes I'm dumb. What can I say?
But then you woke up, like, in a panic.
Yeah.
So, you guys, this is how dedicated we are.
Right? Yeah, even in our worst times. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, so yesterday, what did we cover?
It was 2 Samuel chapter 3, and Saul's son, one of the ones that survived, I guess, because they were supposed to have all been dead.
Right.
But this one didn't. He told Abner, you slept with daddy's wives, and you suck. You're a gross dog. And then Abner was like, the hell you say? And so he ran to David and was like, I'm going to be on your team now.
And I'm going to give you all the lands of Israel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was warring and there was fighting and
Abner died.
Abner died.
Yeah. It's coming back to me now.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. All right. So that was yesterday. Today we are covering 2 Samuel chapter
4.
4.
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready to get on into this?
I am.
Let's do it.
Okay, 2 Samuel chapter 4.
All right.
The assassination of Ish-bosheth.
I guess he's going to get assassinated.
I guess he is.
Like every fucking chapter, it's just like, this is what's going to happen. And then we got to read about what happens.
Yeah.
Like, you could just probably read the Bible just based on the titles of the fucking chapters. Like, oh, that guy gets assassinated. This guy dies.
Headlines only.
This one's going to get, have a kid. Or whatever.
Headlines only.
Right? Yeah.
It's the way I do my news. It's not. All right. When Ish-bosheth, Saul's son, the surviving one, heard about Abner's death at Hebron,
he was like, hell yeah.
He lost all courage. Exactly.
I thought they were kind of like fighting, like because he didn't, whatever.
He lost all courage, and all Israel became paralyzed with fear.
But Abner was fucking his dad's wife, and he was like, fuck you, dude. And then Abner was like, I'm going to give all the lands to fucking David. And then he died. And wouldn't you be like, well, that's a problem solved.
I mean, that's how I would be, but I'm not a Bible person.
I guess.
So.
They get so bent out of shape over things in this. I'm like,
they don't have Twitter to vent their frustrations.
I guess.
They gotta live their Twitter.
Even people that they supposedly hate, they're like, I'm gonna rip off my clothes and wallow in dirt.
Yeah, that's how they be.
That's how we do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now there were two brothers, Bana and Rechab, who were captains of Ish-bosheth's raiding parties.
Raiding parties, okay.
His parties of raiders.
Not just the army, but they were raiding parties.
Yeah.
Like, this is a special unit that specifically goes on raids, apparently.
Yeah.
Okay.
They were sons of Rimmon, a member of the tribe of Benjamin who lived in Beeroth. The town of Beeroth is now part of Benjamin's territory because the original people of Beeroth fled to Gittaim, where they still live as foreigners.
So they gained more land, and the people that were there... Were they Israelites before they fled, and now they're foreigners, I wonder?
I don't even understand.
But that's interesting, though, because they divvied up the land initially, and now Benjamin apparently took over this land, and it became a new part of their land. Mm-hmm. So is this part of them taking over the people that lived there prior to the Israelites, or is this part of them fighting amongst themselves, I wonder?
I have no way of knowing.
Right.
Okay, but I have to put on my parentheses voice. We've got a long parentheses. Ready?
We love parentheses voice.
Mm-hmm. Saul's son Jonathan had a son named Ish-bosheth, who was crippled as a child. He was 5 years old when the report came from Jezreel that Saul and Jonathan had been killed in battle. When the child's nurse heard the news, she picked him up and fled. But as she hurried away, she dropped him and he became crippled.
What?
I'm not sure.
It's not funny. I'm sorry for the kid.
No,
But
yeah, we're not laughing at cripples. Please understand.
Damn, that's just a weird sentence.
It's like I'm not quite sure how that added to the story.
Right.
Okay, Saul's son Jonathan had a crippled child who was dropped by his nanny.
Well, apparently they're worried about them assassinating this child.
Okay.
I mean, I'm guessing.
I guess.
Okay.
I don't really understand the point of why we needed to know that.
What's the kid's name again?
The kid is named Mephibosheth.
That's not who they're assassinating,
Mephibosheth.
Right? That's not who they were assassinating in the title, right?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
So just his kid ran away and got dropped and then became a cripple.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was something...
That's relevant to something, I guess, maybe.
I just don't know. One day, Rechab and Baanah, the sons of Rimmon from Beeroth, went to Ish-bosheth's house around noon as he was taking his midday rest. As you do.
Yeah.
The doorkeeper, who had been sifting wheat, became drowsy and fell asleep. So Rechab and Baanah slipped past her.
Okay.
They went into the house and found Ish-bosheth sleeping on his bed. They struck and killed him and cut off his head.
Oh, damn.
That is some murder right
there. A
bad
time to take a nap for that person that's at the door.
You chose the wrong hour for your siesta.
People are always sleeping to let people through. David was in Saul's tent that one time because he's like...
But God made those people sleep.
Right.
I don't know
this just was like happenstance.
Was this real sleep or was this God sleep?
Right.
I don't know.
It didn't say God, so I'm assuming it was just
I'm assuming they were at siesta.
They got lucky.
Yeah. Then, taking his head with them, they fled across the Jordan Valley through the night. When they arrived at Hebron, they presented Ish-bosheth's head to David. "Look!" they exclaimed to the king. "Here is the head of Ish-bosheth, the son of your enemy Saul, who tried to kill you."
Now, wait a second. You remember what happened to the guy that told him that Saul was dead? Mm-hmm. David
killed the messenger.
Him. Yeah.
Those were Amalekites, though.
Yeah, but aren't these the foreigners that were... These are still foreigners, so, I'd still be,
I don't know how this is going to go for them.
Right?
"Today the Lord has given my lord the king revenge on Saul and his entire family." They're so excited.
Yeah.
"Here's a head. We killed a guy."
Right.
But David said to Rechab and Baanah, "The Lord who saves me from all my enemies is my witness. Someone once told me Saul is dead, thinking he was bringing me good news."
See, I was right.
Oh, damn.
This is not okay.
"But I seized him and killed him at Ziklag. That's the reward I gave him for his news. How much more should I reward evil men who have killed an innocent man in his own house and on his own bed?"
Okay. Hold on a second, though. They are fighting these people, right? They're at war.
But David has a sense of honor. The 2 times that he snuck up on Saul, he did not murder him while Saul was unawares.
It's true. Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm saying he has a certain honor code that he sticks to, and he's saying sneaking in and murdering him in his sleep wasn't good. Way. And besides that, this is Saul's child, and yes, we have a problem with these people, but we should probably be trying to find peace, finding a way to come to peace with them.
Moreover, maybe it's not a foreigner's place to decide how that works out for
Exactly. I'm not saying that I agree with David. I'm just saying at least he is being consistent in his actions and code. It makes sense insofar as who he has shown himself to be.
He has been consistent enough that I was worried for these people bringing him their head.
Exactly. So he says, shouldn't I hold you responsible for his blood and rid the earth of you? So David ordered his young men to kill them, and they did.
And there it is.
Yep. They cut off their hands and feet and hung their bodies beside the pool in Hebron. Then they took Ish-bosheth's head and buried it in Abner's tomb in Hebron. The end. All right.
I mean, that was
fair enough.
Yeah, it sticks with who he is. So
yeah. I'm not saying I think he's a good guy, because I don't.
Right. No, I think he's a dick.
Right. So do I. But I mean, he clearly has a very strict code of honor.
Yeah.
And expects and demands that his people stick to it. And he brooks no nonsense with other people outside of him who think that they're doing good.
Right.
He's like, even though...
Well, I think that these people, they were foreigners, and they were trying to garner favor with David because they saw the winds of change,
Exactly. And they were trying to get in his good graces, and David was smart and was like, I'm having none of it.
Well, and you got to put yourself in their mindset, right? I mean, we're talking about Israelites here fighting Israelites, and the Israelites believe that they are driven by God, so it's up to God to decide who is right and who is wrong, right? And whoever wins has God's favor, right?
Definitely.
Foreigners don't get a say in that.
Well, it's kind of like, on a smaller, more personal scale, it's kind of like when me and my sister are screaming at my mom for my mom being, like, the pain in the ass Southern Baptist that she is.
Right.
And we're, like, ripping her a new one. And then if somebody else comes along and starts making fun of my mom, my sister and I will immediately turn around and be like, excuse you? This is our mom. You don't talk to my fucking mom that way.
Right.
Like, yeah, there's times and place for telling somebody they've done wrong, and it's not always an outsider's place. Yeah.
Obviously, David does not think that there is their place.
Yeah.
Now they're dead.
I don't necessarily disagree with them, although murder seems a bit of a far stretch.
Right? Yeah. All right. Well, that was 2 Samuel chapter 4, and tomorrow we will be jumping into
2 Samuel chapter 5.
All right. We'll see you guys then.
Bye.
Hey, wife, I guess that's the end?
But husband, that's just sad.
It doesn't have to be. We are on lots of social media platforms like Twitter. Our handle there is sacrilegious_D.
For D's nuts.
Oh my God. Stop doing that. Anyway, we're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. There's a link to all of our social media sites at our website.
Ooh, we have a website?
Yeah, it's sacrilegiousdiscourse.com, where you can also find a link to our merch shop.
We have a merch shop?
Yep. We have podcast-themed clothing, mugs, notebooks, and more, as well as an atheist and science-themed products.
Wow, our fans should really go check that out right now.
Definitely. They can get in touch with us by sending an email to sacrilegiousdiscourse@gmail.com. But before they do that, we could really use some help.
Oh yeah? With what?
Well, it's not free running the podcast, and we need some financial support in order to get better equipment, which will free up time so we can concentrate on our podcast and our fans.
Okay, so what should they do?
Head over to patreon.com/sacrilegiousdiscourse and sign up as a contributor on our podcast. Supporters there receive additional bi-weekly episodes that we record just for our Patreon members for as little as $2 a month.
Also, we'd really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe on whatever platform you're using.
And Apple Podcast reviews help us out tremendously.
Like and subscribe. Leave an Apple review. Join us on Twitter. Support us on Patreon. That's a lot of instructions. Don't forget to say thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.